You just have to, like, tip the police. But now that we have more women in the police force, it is almost impossible. What are they communicating? I'm not saying there's not this tendency, right? But we need to look at the scientific facts. And I'll go with the statement. I will take this risk to say women are less corrupt than men. And I stand by that scientifically. Thank you.
You're already preempting the discussion, but we'll come to it. Let me just take Nasima's view on the role of women generally. And we'll come to this more interesting, debatable issue.
I think that my colleagues, I totally agree with my colleagues when they say that if we educate women, we educate the whole society. And I think that the African countries and the educate women, and this woman will educate her children, or they will grow up to be ethic person. Why not to give her the opportunity to be strong and to make her children strong also, to teach that strongness to her children. So I think that we can start with women, from empowering women, and women will take the leadership to make the society better. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nasima. Now, in the field of anti-corruption, when we try to explain why corruption occurs, we have a mathematical formula for it. It's simply C is equal to M times O. C for corruption, M for motivation, O for opportunity. And what we're saying there is that corruption arises when there is a product of motivation and opportunity. Opportunity being the chance to actually engage in it. Now, we hold this to be true universally and regardless of the gender. However, and you've got snippets of this yesterday and this morning, there seems to be some view there that when we look at the issue of corruption, particularly the motivation element of it, and men and women tend to differ in how they are prone to these issues. So we need to engage in that debate. And what I'd like to do is that first, I'd like to take just 3 quick views from the delegates before I come to my panel. And I'll be a little bit more biased in taking 2 views from the back, not just because that's where I sit, but also because I sit there, I know this is around the time when we begin to disengage from the issues yet. Oh, the hands are already up. Wonderful. We begin to disengage from the issues at the front. So we'll take 2 views on this. And be sure to give us some bit of explanation as to
Morning, my name is Betty Sande. I work for Community Empowerment for Progress organization from South Sudan. I really thank the panel for the brilliant presentation, but my question goes to my sister who is the frontline defender. So what are the mechanisms set in place since we know that a female frontline defenders all over Africa are facing challenges? And I do understand in Kenya, you guys have a very big organization which is working on the issue of frontline defenders. In case they have such kind of issue, what are the mechanisms which is set in place? Because I've seen South Sudanese refugees in Uganda, yes, they have been arrested and working on the streets with asking, can you have the receipts of the phone? So you cannot go with the receipts of the phone. So what, as a frontline defender activist, what is the way forward? And how are we going to combat it? The second question is, as female human rights defenders are facing challenges, as Kenya has been known, we normally go to Kenya to ask such kind of expectation or expertise or experiences. So what do you have for us to say that in South Sudan we have the issue of frontline defenders, especially the female frontline defenders. They face a lot of challenges. So what can we work together in order to help our human rights defenders? Thanks.
Thank you, Madam Sanda. Now, because we are not delving into the issue of the questions yet, what I've done is I've taken note of it, And that'll be the very first question when we go to the actual plenary session. We'll address that. So I'm going to pass that slow down to Frank then. This is about whether women are less corrupt than men right now. And basically try to justify your position.
Okay, I'm going to look at it this way. I'm going to give some examples. In recent time in Ghana, some corruption issues, okay, let me use the word alleged, came up. And in this case, involving, I'll use 3 women and 3 men. And for the 3 men, 2 being substantive ministers, 1 deputy. It happened that the deputy minister, a woman, alleged, and it was recorded on tape, that if she gets about $1 million, she will quit politics. There was that intent. Then the second and the third, there were alleged corruption issues within those ministries. The women were forced to resign. The one who alleged to her to just acquire $1 million and retire was sacked. Now, 3 men also involved in corruption issue. One, a substantive minister, was actually reposted to the office of the president from the substantive ministry. The second man, who actually engaging with the media, told them that when they see black, they should say white. So indirectly was trying to corrupt the media men to report issues in a different way. He was elected as MP and later also promoted to be deputy minister. Then there was another one who actually was involved in some kind of insult to the leadership, especially traditional leadership in the country, was promoted from one ministry to the other. And so you could see that when we are dealing with corruption issues, again, there are some kind of differentiation. How we deal with the women and how we deal with the men. All the men were promoted in a way, and all the women were forced to resign or sacked. But the issue is that we are looking at sustaining the women leadership. If we are going this way and we use different yardsticks to measure the corruption indicators of women and another yardstick to even promote the men, how do we see corruption and how do we promote leadership of women? And I believe that when you mentioned the $150,000 to be used to campaign, how can women be sustained in leadership? And that is the issue that we have to look at. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. I think you bring interesting perspectives to the issue of how we treat the genders differently and the different yardsticks we use when it comes to issues of corruption. I'll take the view of the gentleman. Yes, sir.
Thank you. My name is Ramba Makam from Rwanda. Corruption is a forest. It's a big forest. It is a vast desert that if we don't treat it the best way, we are going to be lost. Rwanda is among the 5 best performers. 67% of the members of parliament are women. 38% upper chamber. 50% ministerial posts. These are numbers. These are numbers based on discrimination of women who aren't, who went to school. But what about that woman in the village? I usually tell people that I'm made in East Africa. When you look at all these countries, when you look at sub-Saharan Africa, you'll find that development and production are in the hands of women, the rural woman. What are we doing to uplift this woman so that she can be part of what we are doing now? All means of production are in the hands of men. Talk of land. 80%, more than 90% of producers are women, but more than 90% of consumers are men. So let us first put means of production in the hands of women, educate them, empower them, so that in the future they can even empower their daughters and their sons to make corruption a free corruption country. In Rwanda, we care more on protocols signed, but are they important? When you look at societies, our cultures differ, and fighting corruption cannot be a shoe that fits us all. How it is done in Botswana, Liberia, Algeria, or Kenya is not how it should be done in Rwanda. In Rwanda, we started a homegrown solutions. How can we do it that our people understand in their own language, in their own culture, so that it can be simply understood, not translated? Translation of these protocols have made mistakes somewhere, somehow, and it has made people to resist. In some societies, rights are privileges. In Rwanda, a woman can walk alone, but in some societies, a woman cannot walk alone. She will need a accompanied male. In Rwanda, a woman can own property, but no one in some societies, a woman doesn't own property, doesn't own land. In Rwanda, a woman drives. In some societies, driving is a privilege to a woman. So let us look at it on that level, but the most important thing is include women in fighting against corruption. Let me ask men who are here, how many of you ever heard of He for She crusade? How many signed? Did you sign? Did you do it with your heart, or you just signed to make numbers for your country? Thank you.
Thank you very much. So again, the question is, are women really less corrupt than men? I'll take the submission from, sorry, Your Excellency, just before, I'll take the submission from the lady, then I'll take two from the diplomatic corps, the gentleman, and then my ambassador from Ghana. So, Madam, yes, please.
Bom dia. I am a Portuguese speaker, so please channel. Are you ready? Are you ready, right? So, chamo-me Julina Arcolete, sou presidente e fundadora da Associação das Mulheres Rurais e Empreendedoras de Nampula. Eu lidero cerca de 350 mulheres na comunidade. Nesta manhã, ouvi por muito a se dizer que devemos empoderar as mulheres.
Sorry, if I may interrupt you before you continue. It appears the numbers have changed for the translation. So I'm going to ask from the booth. What language is number one today? Arabic. Arabic is still number one. Number two? French is number two. Number three? Portuguese is number three. Portuguese, three. So is English still number four? Because it appears English was in four on my set. So it's been corrected. Four is English. Could you confirm, please, from the booth? Number four, English? Okay, thank you very much. Let's restart.
Thank you. Estava a dizer que estou a ouvir esta manhã que uma das melhores maneiras de evitarmos a corrupção será educar e empoderar as mulheres. Vamos ser frontais, mulheres aqui, minhas irmãs. Estaremos nós preparadas, depois de sermos empoderadas e educadas, para combater contra a corrupção? É uma pergunta que eu dou às irmãs. Estaremos preparadas para isso? Se este for o caso, e se nós estivermos preparadas para isso, por favor, homens, deem-nos espaço. Deixem-nos ser nós, mulheres, a liderarmos as posições cimeiras. Como foi dito, a mulher é muito mais. Nós temos assistido que a mulher é muito menos corrompida em relação aos homens. Aí está a resposta de que nestas posições cimeiras, onde a corrupção é vista, a mulher deve tomar a posição. Deixem-nos ser nós as mulheres a liderarmos as posições cimeiras. Eu gostaria das próximas sessões plenárias que virmos falar contra a corrupção, ver todas as filas cobertas por mulheres a dizerem aquilo que foi o resultado que tiveram quando voltaram aos seus países de origem e integraram esta situação contra a corrupção, que é para depois fazermos uma medição. Será que são mesmo as mulheres que incentivam a corrupção ou são os homens que incentivam a corrupção? Está certo que nós fazemos sim a corrupção, mas é porque os homens nos mandam. Mas se a mulher estiver na posição cimeira, dificilmente é de ver um homem a ir falar com a chefe ou a diretora ou a presidente para entrar na corrupção. Mas se for o contrário, nós já podemos ir porque temos aquele medo. Então, mais uma vez, homens, por favor, deem-nos lugar, deixem-nos ser nós a liderarmos as posições cimeiras para depois vermos a diferença. Obrigada.
It seems to me that you're also in a very mild, implicit manner suggesting that the women can do better to fight corruption when they find themselves in those leadership positions. Your Excellency, I'll take the submission from you.
Merci, Monsieur le modérateur. Je vais juste répondre à votre question en partant des points spécifiques. Je disais tantôt que la corruption concerne toute personne bénéficiant d'un pouvoir de décision, que ce soit une femme ou un homme. Une personnalité politique, lorsque nous prenons parmi les personnalités politiques dans tous nos pays, les femmes sont minoritaires. On est d'accord? Puisque la corruption concerne toute personne ayant un pouvoir de décision. Les hommes politiques ont un pouvoir de décision. Je parle des fonctionnaires également dans l'administration. Eh bien, le quota des femmes est très faible. Ensuite, si nous partons sur le plan sportif, les arbitres, ce sont des exemples terre à terre. Et également les athlètes, les footballeurs, etc. Les femmes sont moins nombreuses. Or, ce sont des milieux de corruption aussi. Et lorsque nous abordons la question des organisations de la société civile, je prends le cas des syndicats. Dans cette corporation, les leaders sont souvent les hommes. Et la majorité, ce sont les hommes. Et ce sont des milieux où la corruption, en tout cas, est permanente. Je voudrais dire, quoi qu'il en soit, la corruption transgresse toujours la frontière du droit et de la morale. Or, les femmes sont nos éducatrices. Nous, les hommes, nous venons tous des femmes. Et lorsque la femme est bien éduquée et qu'elle lutte contre la corruption, nous avons beaucoup de chances de réussir parce que c'est elle qui nous éduque en quelque sorte. Je vous remercie.
Your Excellency.
Thank you very much, and good morning to us all. I would like to thank the panelists also for their contributions. They're very educative. To your question, as to women are less corrupt than men, I will stick my neck out and say yes. And why am I saying that? Studies by behavioral and social scientists have come out to indicate that there are differences between men and women when it comes to how they relate or behave in society. And some of these have led to the conclusion that women are less likely to undertake risk. We are risk averse. And also pressures from society. What is expected from us as caregivers, as mothers, and carers of our parents. And in African societies, what the family thinks about us also makes us very careful in whatever we do. Women, and even when women are involved, they are less aggressive than men. when it comes to bribe taking. And then, of course, there are studies which have also shown that in countries where there are more women in government, corruption is less. Women, the interests of women are different from that of men. And I don't want to belabor the issue, but yes, women are less corrupt than men. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. So, like I announced earlier, what we're going to do is that I'll have my panel weigh in on this, and I'll come back to plenary. But I've noted all the hands that went up first, and I'm going to give you that opportunity when we come back to plenary. It will seem that nobody has suggested that there's some biological trait, some gene that makes women less corrupt than men. I think the first explanation has come from a cultural point of view and expectations of society. But I'll let my panelists weigh into that discussion, and then we'll come back to plenary where we take this discussion again, and of course, the earlier ones we had mentioned. Who is primed to start on this one? It seems like a very controversial, debatable, interesting issue. Nasima.
In my opinion, definitely woman is less corrupt than man. But I think that woman is less than man, not by nature. No, but because there is reason, social and cultural reason, made her less corrupt than man. I think it's a fact now. And I think you agree with me. It's a fact. Its statistics says that woman is less corrupt than man, but not by nature, but because there is reasons who push her to be less corrupt. Because she's afraid to be caught, because she's ashamed from being corrupt, because she's afraid of society, from her family. She's afraid for her family also, for her reputation. All these reasons push her to be, to not take risks and take corruption and to be corrupt. But for me, this question, it's very important to ask it, but this question took me to ask another question. If we empower women, will she be less corrupt than men, or she will be more corrupt than men if we empower her? Is it a matter of woman is less corrupt because she doesn't have chance, or she cannot do that, she cannot be more corrupt, or because she doesn't prefer to be corrupt? So if we empower, the question that I ask now today, if we empower women, will she be less corrupt? Will she continue to be less corrupt than men? Thank you.
Thank you, Nasima. I think between Her Excellency's submissions and Nasima's, we are beginning to put some factors to explain when we say, women are less corrupt than men. If we look at the cultural and social factors and society's expectations, and we are saying that because it appears that the yardsticks are different for men and women, women tend to be, more risk averse and engaging in corruption because, and you heard an example Frank gave that when they get caught, it seems like there's a different treatment as well when they get caught. Apart from that, it seems they're even more concerned about what the society make of them when they engage. Now, what I seem to be hearing is that, well, when it's men, it's like, well, they tend to do it. When it's women, it's a bit like, my goodness, I can't believe she's done that. A bit like the infidelity argument, isn't it? So a man is caught unfaithful and like, well, they are like that. A woman is caught unfaithful and like, my goodness, she has disgraced the family, the entire society. So I'm going to find some answers in there. But let me engage this debate a little bit better before I come to you, Aaron. There's also been the numbers argument. People have made the argument that the second half of that corruption formula, motivation by opportunity, times opportunity, because we don't had a lot of women in those positions. And that's why we don't tend to find, so many examples of women who are corrupt. People have made the argument that it's because it's mostly men who find themselves in those sort of positions. When they are corrupt, it comes out a little bit more. So this talks more about the statistics. And what this argument is doing is that it's daring us, basically, saying that, well, try putting women across all those positions as well. Let's see if they're any different from the men. Aaron, how do you respond to that?
Thank you. I think we are fortunate that some researchers have gone ahead. So Song in 2012 did a research on increased women participation in leadership and that of corruption. And it was evident that there's no negative impact on corruption relating to increased women participation in leadership. So I guess that answers your question about if we empower more women, will there be more corruption? No. On the contrary, the more women we empower, the more women we put a man today and put money in the pocket of a woman. what would be their concern? It's obvious. And I'm a man. You know, when I was much younger than this, maybe I would have had a different view. But we need to be realistic. What is our priority? Men have too many priorities that are not really focused on the family. Sorry to say, fathers, but that is a fact. If a woman is empowered today, the first thing she thinks about is her family, her children, and even after the very man. But let's become ministers and see how many homes we have. And those demands creates the opportunity to be corrupt. And so, this is no joke. I mean, as funny as it may sound, it is scientifically proven that women are less corrupt than men. And I think the way forward, and I think Frank was alluding to something about the way we judge men and the way we judge women. That is also a fact. You heard that 3 women, for example, were allegedly associated with corruption in Ghana. And that made the news. But let's reflect. How many men upon men have been involved in corruption practices? Let's look at the ratio. But do they get the same publicity? And it's because, like Makodi stated, the societal perception and the role we have ascribed to women, that, oh, it's a woman, so she can be corrupt. So maybe we need to do a rethink and have a tripartite approach to this. So we need to create awareness. We need to create awareness. We need to undo those stereotypes. It's key. And that need to go hand in hand with advocacy. So while we educate people on the rights, the roles of women in society, we also need to be advocating. For example, for the institutional policy, how can you charge someone $150,000 to contest for a seat? It doesn't make sense. Only corrupt men or very powerful men will be able to earn that. And it's sad. So we need to advocate to remove some of those policies, those bad policies. And then lastly, what we need to do is to empower women. Give them the opportunity. It has worked. Research say it has worked. The brother talked about Rwanda. Right now, the news of the day in Africa is how Rwanda is making progress. And look at the numbers he's giving. That is evident that the more women we have in power, the less corruption we have. Now, we're not saying this is one solution fits all, but we need to adapt a methodology or strategy that is going to fit our context. But I maintain that women are less corrupt than men. Thank you.
Thank you, Rona. Before I bring Emily into that discussion, Nasima, you have a bit of a postscript on that? Okay.
Yes, I just want to add something. When I asked the question, women will be less corrupt if we empower them. When I ask this question, I'm not asking it for now, but because as I said, it's a fact now. Because there is reason, cultural and social reasons for that. But if those cultural and social reasons would change, and we give power, we empower women, would she continue to be less corrupt, or will because for now we see that it's more okay for a man to be corrupt than a woman. We treat him differently. I think that in somehow woman is less corrupt as consequences of discrimination against her. Yes, I do believe that why not to use those consequences in that fight? Why not? Yes. It's a positive consequences, actually. Why not use it for now? But my question is not for now. My question is for years from now, after eradication, after empowering women and eradicating the fact, not corruption. Okay, the word for me. But I mean, from years from now, when the social and the cultural reasons behind that will disappear, will she continue to be less corrupt?
You seem to have a response?
Yeah. Like, so when I suggested the SONG 2012 research, what I was referring to was societies that have more women already in leadership position. All right, so women are already in leadership position in those societies. And so the research revealed that those societies were less corrupt. So I guess what I'm implying here is that the more women we have in leadership position, it's not going to change the way they react to corruption. I think that's what the research is suggesting. I agree when you talk about all of the the cultural, social perception that place women in a position where they might want to be less corrupt because of family shame. Imagine if you hear, oh, your sister or your mother was involved in corruption. Those things do exist. But on a larger scale, if there is going to be corruption, and you can see even now, if you look around and you do a ratio as it relates to men and women involved in corruption, whoosh, you don't want to know that number.
Interesting. Now, Emily, why are you as a woman less likely to be more corrupt than me or Joshua standing here or Sanusi who just entered?
Okay, women are less corrupt. First of all, you have an aim to protect as mothers. You have kids, so you have to be a good examples to our own kids. Another thing, when men maybe something happens to them,
very much. Now we are going to do plenary again. Again, let me remind you that because we want to stick to the issues in this session, whatever your submissions are, it could be on your own experiences at the front lines of fighting corruption, whether it's success stories, challenges, especially women who are involved in this fight, or how to sustain women's leadership, or you could talk about the role of women generally in fighting corruption. Of course, you could also weigh in the more current debate that seems to be more interesting and at the almost seems to be sort of just eclipsing all the other issues. That's why I have to raise this again. So the session is not just about are women less corrupt than men. We've also been talking about other issues. So let your submissions reflect all these 4 issues that we're supposed to discuss. And I'll take Madam here first because your hand has been up for way too long. So let me just pick 3 from this side and then I'll come to this side. So Madam here, the gentleman, sorry, the lady right behind her, and I'll come to you, Ifoma. So 3 from this side, and then we'll take another round of it. Thank you.
Go ahead. Okay. Thank you. Karima Ghanem from Morocco. I just want to compliment what Mrs. Nassima said. I think she brought up a very important issue about women running in elections and women's position in political parties where corruption is prevalent. And I would like to share a little bit of experience. I recently conducted a study on women's political participation within the structures of political parties. And I agree with you for the quota system. Unfortunately, the quota system that we adopted in many countries normally should be a temporary exception to the law, basically to promote women's participation in political life in general, but unfortunately it has become something normative. Normally we should promote natural women's participation to be elected, whether at the parliament or at local government. The issue here, I think, is a mentality issue. It's a cultural organization of political parties, because unfortunately the quota just reinforced the illegal practices of corruption, because here we managed to increase the participation of women in terms of numbers, but not in terms of the quality of participation that is reflected in the daily life of women. So basically, the problem is not in the changing of laws of political parties, because we have a percentage or even quotas for political parties to increase women participation, whether at the structures of political parties or to run for elections. But the problem lies, according to the study I've done recently, is within the Committee of Accreditation to nominate women to run for elections. And this is where they have the liberty to choose those who pay more money, or relatives, the clientelism, they favor whoever they choose. And there's no space for militant, between quotes, women within the political parties. So basically, if we manage to impose ethical standards within the committees that are in charge of nominating people for elections, then I think maybe it could be something that changed the cultural organization of the party. And the last point, also for women's
participation in, or women's having higher position in government. Unfortunately, when we formed the government, basically those who are forming the government, it's a coalition of heads of political parties, usually are men. They're not including women in the formation of the government, and usually we nominate women just because we were told it's nice to have women in the government. So basically, women have titles, but not actually participating in strategic decisions. So I think this is something that needs to be changed with not just legislation, but more promotion of changing the cultural organization of how political parties think, and include gender mainstreaming culture within political parties to ensure that they're doing it not because they are obliged by law to do it, but because they believe in it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's a very interesting submission. Now, because we would like to get as many views as possible, I'm going to limit every other delegate to just under a minute. If you could just limit your intervention to just a minute. So the lady right behind you, yes, your turn now, madam.
Please take your channel, because I will speak French. Mon nom est Miguel Hueto. Mon nom est Miguel Hueto, comme je le disais, je viens du Bénin. J'appartiens à l'organisation Human Rights Priority. Alors, chez moi, dans une langue, pour parler de diriger, pour parler du chef, on dit souvent gan, dougan. Qu'est-ce que cela signifie? Cela veut dire manger le pouvoir, prendre le pouvoir. Et je pense que ça fait partie des choses qui, malheureusement, calquent la mentalité de nous, Africains, mais aussi quelque part de la femme, mais beaucoup plus les hommes dans la gestion de la cité. Et c'est ce qui peut-être fait que nous assistons à cette grande proportion de corruption. Pour répondre à la question que vous avez posée à présent, je dirais sans embâche que oui, les femmes sont moins corrompues que les hommes. La raison, elle est toute simple. Vous savez, les femmes, elles ont cette facilité-là à gérer les familles. Elles l'ont toujours eu. Elles ont travaillé à contribuer, quand bien même les ressources dont elles disposaient étaient minimes, elles faisaient toujours en sorte de satisfaire tout le monde. Et pour moi, donc, contrairement aux hommes, la femme leader, c'est celle-là qui sait aussi que quand elle prend le contrôle quelque part, elle est là pour servir. Elle n'est pas là pour être servie, non pour se faire servir. Elle est là pour servir les autres. Elle est donc là pour servir la communauté. Et pour moi, c'est peut-être la raison qui justifie le fait que quand la femme sort de son milieu familial et qu'elle vient dans la place publique, à travers son leadership, quand elle occupe des postes de responsabilité, elle fait en sorte de pouvoir servir les autres, ayant à l'esprit que le bien commun ne lui appartient pas, le bien commun appartient à la communauté. Et donc, c'est aussi, je pense qu'on peut ou on doit aussi faire en sorte que le leader, qu'il soit femme ou qu'il soit homme, puisse intégrer, s'approprier le fait que quand on est leader, on ne l'est pas parce qu'on va se servir ou parce qu'on va se faire servir. On devient leader parce qu'on a noté une défaillance dans la communauté et l'on a envie d'apporter sa contribution pour relever les défis. Et donc, c'est ce que je voulais partager. Merci.
Thank you very much. I'll take the last one from the particular side of the hall. Ifoma, your hand was up. Okay.
Hello. Yes. Good morning, everyone, and to the panelists. Thank you so much for that great discussion and intervention. So I just want to speak on something that I've kind of noticed. From experience, I work for a civil society organization, Public and Private Development Center, focused on procurement governance. And yesterday, I spoke about what we did in Nigeria concerning open contracting. And from my experience, I don't think, that you must be in power or in government position before you can effect the kind of impact and reform that needs to be done. And I think also we should be focusing on the quality of women representation. Because from my experience, when we started open contracting, my organization was led by a woman. And I know what we went through to get Nigerian government to adopt and implement open contracting during the advocacy season. I know we met a couple of men in high level of governance who should have ideally pushed for this. But the reception wasn't really encouraging because we were told that this wouldn't fly in Nigeria. But fortunately for us, it's already flying in Nigeria. So, but what we were also able to do is to look for champions, pro-reformists and reformists within the public sector, which are women. So that's also the quality of leadership. People who understand what is at stake at a particular moment and then leverage on them to get what we want. So I think that is also what we should be looking at, not just having women because we want to get women in power, but also looking for, the right people who can get what we want pushed. So that's just my contribution.
Thank you very much, Ifeoma. Now, because I did 3 women here, when I come to this side, okay, not so many men on this side, so I guess we'll still do some more women. The lady, your hand has been up for a while. Ambassador, I'll come to you last. And there's a gentleman right behind you. Your hand has also been up. So let's do those 3 for now. So the lady, yes, madam, please. Yes, go ahead.
Merci beaucoup pour la parole.
Okay. Ok, bonjour, je suis Paul Ediane. Je viens du Cameroun. Déjà, la question que vous avez posée, pour moi, c'est un peu difficile de prendre parti parce que de mon expérience, surtout dans la thématique de la corruption, on ne peut pas dire que les femmes sont moins corrompues que les hommes ou alors l'inverse, que les hommes sont plus corrompus que les femmes. Surtout que la corruption, d'abord, c'est une affaire d'opportunité. Et c'est une affaire d'environnement et même de niveau de vie et même de niveau d'information, niveau d'éducation. Il y a plusieurs choses. Je le dis parce que actuellement, je suis en train de finir une enquête là-dessus et je me rends compte que s'il faut parler spécifiquement de mon Cameroun natal, je vais être très réservée là-dessus parce que la situation est telle qu'elle est. Mais on se rend compte que si l'on est dans le milieu de l'entrepreneuriat, par exemple, parce que je suis fonctionnaire, mais je suis aussi entrepreneur et j'accompagne les entrepreneurs. Si on est dans le milieu de l'entrepreneuriat, je prendrai spécifiquement l'instant où il faut formaliser son entreprise. Eh bien, dans les services des impôts, 90% du personnel sont des femmes. Mais rassurez-vous, elles sont toutes corrompues. Parce que des fois même, ça c'est une expérience personnelle que je vais partager, des fois quand on vous dit, quand vous finissez avec le centre qui vous donne la carte de contribuable et le registre de commerce, on vous dit maintenant, allez aux impôts pour avoir les papiers nécessaires pour aller confirmer votre compte bancaire. Une fois sur place, le chef de centre, qui est généralement un homme, va vous dire, il a même fait la note de service, aucun âge, vraiment, ne donnez pas d'argent aux agents des impôts, mais la femme qui est assise là ne va pas voir que vous êtes une femme ou bien que vous êtes une jeune femme qui veut être économiquement épanouie. Du moins, elle ne voit pas les efforts que vous faites jusque-là, mais elle va vous exiger d'autres frais qui, en retour, il n'y a pas de reçu dessus. Une fois, j'ai ouvert la discussion avec ces femmes parce que j'étais tellement agacée, j'ai dit, mais comment est-ce qu'on va dire les femmes sont moins corrompues et tout, mais vous êtes encore plus corrompus que les hommes? Elle m'a dit que ça faisait partie des avantages de service. Maintenant, rentrons dans le cadre de mon expérience en tant que fonctionnaire. La plupart du temps, s'il faut aller voir dans les commissions de passation de marché public, Généralement, c'est les femmes qui sont au front office. Celui qui signe ou bien l'émetteur d'ordre du passage du marché, c'est un homme. Lui n'est même pas au courant des fois des enveloppes que la femme a prises. Mais la femme, souvent, on se retrouve avec des conflits d'intérêts où le ministre a des dossiers, il n'a pas pris de l'argent, mais sa secrétaire a pris de l'argent aux gens. Donc, pour dire que, personnellement, je pense que la corruption intervient à partir du moment où il y a des intérêts et des enjeux énormes en matière d'argent ou bien d'autres choses. Et même quand on parle d'harcèlement sexuel, souvent je suis un peu gênée pour les hommes parce qu'on va toujours voir que c'est l'homme qui va vers la femme. Mais souvent, c'est la femme qui harcèle l'homme. Je suis une femme, mais de plus en plus, je vais être réaliste sur la lutte des droits des femmes pour interpeller aussi les femmes à éviter un peu, à éviter d'abord de se faire passer pour victime et d'être assez réaliste et être responsable des actes qu'elles posent. Parce que à force de dire les femmes sont victimes, c'est comme un voleur qui va se dire je n'ai pas volé, je suis innocent, tout en sachant qu'il a commis un délit. Je le dis parce que j'ai aussi travaillé dans le milieu carcéral. Voilà. Donc, je vais conclure en disant que parler de corruption et de droits de la femme en Afrique pour le thème qui nous a réunis ici, je souhaiterais qu'à la fin de cette discussion, qu'on essaye aussi d'éduquer les femmes en fonction de leur secteur. Parce que maintenant, s'il faut voir la femme comme citoyenne qui veut un service, souvent elle est obligée de donner de l'argent pour la simple raison qu'elle n'a même pas l'information du processus de ce qu'elle veut faire. À mon petit niveau, souvent, je crée des espaces de discussion où, par exemple, s'il faut créer une entreprise, je regroupe des jeunes filles, je regroupe les femmes, je leur donne le processus de création pour que quand elles arrivent dans ces services-là, qu'elles ne soient plus en train de donner un franc symbolique en plus de ce qui est réclamé. Et je crois que jusqu'ici,
air a bit of caution in terms of, our perspective in terms of whether women are less corrupt than men. I think certainly there's a key role for women in the fight against corruption, particularly in terms of developing gender-sensitive anti-corruption strategies, bringing attention to certain key sectors that are important for gender equality, women's empowerment, and the protection of women's rights. But, I think also that women empowerment in terms of leadership positions should be promoted from a rights-based perspective. And I think this is very important. In terms of equality, in terms of the fundamental human rights, particularly around civil and political rights. I think it's very important. But not necessarily because women may be less corrupt than men. That we have a we have a myth that in the anti-corruption cooking pot, that if you add more women as part of the recipe and stir, that's corruption, corruption diminishes. This is because, firstly, because there are a lot of mixed results when you look at empirical evidence. If you look at South America, countries like Peru and Mexico, took this to the extreme. In both of those countries, they created women-only traffic force police, to curb corruption on the streets. And the results were, even though the results tend to show that women in those positions may be less corrupt than their male counterparts, but it's not an absolute science. Also, in South America, where they've had the most number of women leaders, a number of those women leaders have also been embroiled in corruption. Like, take example, Brazil, for instance. I mean, in in Africa, while we have our Tuli Madoncellas and Ngozi Okonjo-Iwealas, in Nigeria, for instance, the former Minister of Petroleum, who was, a woman, has been embroiled in alleged some of the highest figures in terms of corruption in that sector. In Ghana, the former head of the Commission for Human Rights and Administrative Justice, a woman, also was embroiled, and it was embroiled in corruption issues, which led to her leaving that position. Also, I think it's important to note that there's a lot of complex factors that create corruption. And like, for instance, the quality of institutions, the political dynamics, the type of local and international pressure around corruption. And in many instances, women are also held responsible for corruption by men. So if you bring women on board an institution and the culture of that institution has not changed, it's doubtful that the woman can be a magic silver bullet that stops corruption. So what I'm saying in essence is that we should be careful to say that women should be empowered from a rights-based perspective, and not necessarily because they are a magic silver bullet against corruption, because where that does not give us the right results, it completely negates the argument for women empowerment in the first place. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Now, I'm going to take just one more submission because we really ran out of time. I don't want to eat into the next session. So my brother from South Sudan will take that submission.
Thank you very much, Brian. I think this is a very lively debate, and I've got two points to make. One about women being less corrupt. I'm at the forefront of fighting corruption as the executive director of Anti-Corruption Commission. So we have these reports. If I looked at the statistics that I have less women being reported for corruption. Could be even 1% of cases that I've looked at, and this is for the last 5 years. So this tells you, and we have a lot of women in powerful position. So it tells you the involvement of women in corruption. But don't take my word for it. When you go home, try to look at traffic police and see how you behave. I mean, how the traffic police behave, male and female ones. You'll find that the men will flag you down for any reason, okay? But the women traffic police will try and ease your way and help you and help the traffic. They will not ask you for a bribe. Just look at that and come and tell us next time. So women representation, I think it comes from the quota. I think the idea of quota comes from the idea that there is no equal leveling field, okay? And there's less opportunities for women. And that's why the quota came about. Now, if you begin to make an argument against this, then it defeats the whole point. So we should be very careful. We will have the case of yesterday where we had a 6-year-old man elected as a chairperson for a youth organization, a 60-year-old man, yeah. So we will have those kind of cases. But the caveat about the quality of women, I think those ones would defeat the argument. What we should do is we work for more participation of women in empowerment and in senior position. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think this session could go on for the whole day, and unfortunately, we have really run out of time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask my panelists just a concluding statement in one sentence. I'll start from you, Emily, and work my way out back to you.
I think we have a very big gap between the women who are